Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the planners that I'm currently using. So I'm going to do a brief Q1 update on my planner lineup, and then I'm going to flip through the February and March pages of my Hobonichi cousin, which is very much my main planner and journal. And excuse me if I sound different, I am getting over a cold. My son has been bringing home all of the daycare germs, and my husband and I and my son have been sick on and off for most of March. I'm finally feeling better today, but then of course, like spring allergy season is hitting early, and so I still sound kind of congested. So please bear with me, and just wanted to throw out that disclaimer. But yeah, so I'm going to do a brief Q1 update and then flip through my Hobonichi cousin, which is my main planner, and flip through the February and March pages so I can talk about how my planning in the cousin and my journaling in the cousin has evolved since I last talked about this planner on my channel. So if that sounds good, let's jump right in. Okay, so let's start with a brief overview of the planners I'm using. So if you've been following along, you'll know that I have been going back and forth in terms of what I'm using as my on-the-go planner / my companion planner is the new way I'm describing it. Because essentially I see the Hobonichi cousin as my main planner, but then I do like to have an extra notebook with blank pages because the Hobonichi cousin doesn't have a lot of blank pages, and some type of on-the-go planner. So if the Hobonichi cousin is feeling too big, I can just grab that. For the last few years, I had been using a Hobonichi Weeks Mega alongside my cousin. And that was my plan at the start of 2023. If you've watched my 2023 planner lineup video, you'll know that I started the year intending to use these 3 books. And for whatever reason, the Hobonichi Weeks just wasn't working for me this year. And I think that's in large part because how I'm using the cousin has been evolving. And so if you watched that original lineup video for this year, this is a standard traveler's notebook, and this is going to be replacing my weeks. And so my lineup is pretty similar to where it started, but just with this different planner than the weeks. So as I said, just to give a brief overview of my current lineup, my Hobonichi cousin is definitely like my main planner and journal. This is the one I use the most often. It's the most complete and thorough, and I see it very much as like an archive of my year. Now, the Hobonichi cousin, this year, I'm using the avec, and I've used the avec a few times in the past, but this year I've been bulking it up so much more. Like, this planner has gotten so bulky, and we're just halfway through it. So because I'm sort of using it so much and it's becoming so chunky and there's a lot going on in here, I feel like I need a companion to this. And essentially like just a blank notebook. Like, I don't have a ton of blank space or unused space in this planner because I am using it on a daily basis for like dailies and a journaling like section. And so because of that, I feel like I need a blank notebook as a companion, and that's where this comes in. And this is what I had been using the weeks for. Like, I was using the Mega Weeks because it had all the notes pages, and it was essentially like an on-the-go notebook / like future planner when I needed it. And so that's how I'm using this. I have a blank insert in here from Good Impressions. This is a Tomoe River paper insert with I think 160 pages, so one of the thicker ones. And I'm using this for weeklies when I need it, monthlies when I need it. Like, I started outlining some plans and goals for April, a to-do list for the month. Like, these are basically sort of like setups and spreads that I can't quite fit in my Hobonichi cousin. And also stuff that I like in this like somewhat smaller size. I really love the standard size notebooks. Like, I love this being essentially like an A5 height and then it just being narrower. This, I really enjoy the standard size, and I have a bunch of standard size stuff lying around because I've journaled in it so frequently. Like this has been the size I usually journal in. I usually journal in a traveler's notebook, and that's how I started actually using this notebook at the beginning of the year. But then this evolved to be sort of my new on-the-go planner. And so I have this blank insert that I use for some monthly stuff when I need it. I set up weeklies when I need it. I've been experimenting with different weekly setups because I don't need like that much space. And then I use this for dailies and other miscellaneous notes or collections. Like I was planning out my reading journal in here, swatching some washi tape I picked up. These are from Archer and Olive, and they are so beautiful. This was the first purchase I ever made from Archer and Olive, and I've been very happy. And then of course these also beautiful washi tapes are from Sterling Ink. I use her stickers all over both of these planners and setups, and I just love her shop. I have a discount code which I will leave in the description box below if you want to pick up anything from her shop, but I just love Sterling Ink's work and all of her stickers. So yeah, that's essentially how I'm using this blank insert. And then the other insert I have in here is the monthly insert from, oh, I'm sorry, I realize that I'm not exactly in frame here. So the other insert that I'm using is this monthly insert from Traveler's Company. So this is the 2023 monthly insert, and this is essentially my on-the-go planner. I have everything I need in here in terms of like a calendar and dates and space to write stuff down, especially with the blank insert in the back. And so this really works as my on-the-go planner. And this is, this dated portion is like my future log, holds future events and things to do and things I want to keep on my mind, especially again, since I'm using the Hobonichi cousin avec, which is the 6-month version. I like having like a 12-month calendar where I can really like plan stuff out for the future. And this insert also allows me to have some annual trackers and collections, just stuff I like to see more on an annual basis rather than a every 6-month basis. And so that's how I'm using this insert in the front. This is the monthly insert. And then again, I have this blank insert in the back. And this is together taking the place, this setup is taking the place of my Hobonichi weeks. This is now what I'm calling my on-the-go planner or my companion planner to my Hobonichi cousin. I do want to say that this, I have this in a Moterm veg tan leather standard traveler's notebook. I picked one up in the most recent release. This actually, I think I got this in the mail like a week ago. This is in the apricot leather, and it is just beautiful. It feels almost like an undyed. I'm not sure if the like light is catching it quite well, but it's really stunning. It has like both smooth and more textured parts, and I'm just like obsessed with it. The one thing I don't love is the big back pocket, because it means this doesn't like lie exactly flat, which I find true of almost all of the Moterm covers. And you can, for the bigger ones, I think like you can like get it to feel like if it's flat, but I still like it is very bulky, and it's like very spacious for my 2-book setup. So I only have these 2 books in here, and I had this in a standard Traveler's Company oh my gosh, cover, and it fit that perfectly. Like it was snug, but it wasn't too bulky. And this definitely feels like a bit too spacious. But I love the leather so much and the feel. And I like that I have a dedicated pen loop. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this setup for now. I'm probably going to go back to the Traveler's Company covers at some point this year. I am especially excited to be able to pick up one of the olive one in the olive color since they're releasing that later this month. But I'm really enjoying this cover for now, and it's really beautiful and well made, and I'm just so happy with the leather that I was able to get. So this is my on-the-go planner. The other planner that I'm using alongside the cousin is this A5 plotter. So this A5 plotter is my work planner. I can't exactly remember the name of this leather. It's one of the black leathers, I think the Pueblo black leather, but I will confirm and leave that info in the description box. But this is my work planner that I use to plan for work. I do a lot of my work planning digitally, so I use Outlook for work. A lot of my appointments and events and deadlines are in Outlook. And then I do a lot of work planning in Notion. I've been really enjoying figuring out how to make Notion work for me. It's such a flexible tool. If anybody were interested in seeing my Notion setup for my work planning, please, or learning about my work planning more broadly, let me know in the comments. I've been trying to think through what other content I could film, and I would love to get some ideas from you all. So this is the plotter, and it's a ring binder, but it's a very thin ring binder. And I love it. This setup has been working so well for me because it's so like thin and portable. I feel like whenever I have a work planner that is too bulky, it just becomes not functional for me because I do have to go into the office at least once a week. And I like bringing my cousin since it's my main planner. And so I want this to be slim. For the last few years, I've just used an A5 Stalogy in the half-year size, but the plotter is so perfect because I am able to include some dated inserts. So like I have monthly inserts here where I'm just keeping track of deadlines for conferences that I sometimes submit to. This was for this was a revise and resubmit in academic journal lingo. That means I had to revise an article I was trying to get published for the potential to publish it with that journal, and that was due yesterday. But those are like big deadlines I have to just be aware of, and so I like having this like monthly layout to have those big deadlines and like be able to see what's coming up, and then I'll usually sort of like scope out here what I want to get done each week, and just try to like plan out my work. I work, for context, as a public policy researcher at a think tank in DC. And so I research and write about education policy and issues in education. And I have a lot of flexibility and autonomy in my job. And so I'm the one really primarily responsible for like figuring out how to achieve my goals on like annual basis. But then that comes down to like, actually planning, like how am I going to make sure I get this many articles out, or I'm consistently like staying on top of some research projects that need to be moving forward. And so I love having these dated inserts because it really helps me do that. And then I also have dated weekly inserts, which again just help me like plan out how and when I want to get stuff done over the course of the week. So I'll write on this side like my weekly to-do list, and then try to slot in things to each day, or I'll designate certain days for like, this is your writing day, this is your research day, and so on. And then in the back here, I have like a bunch of reading notes from different articles I've read, different books I'm reading, and like related to work I'm doing. And then I just have other blank pages in the back that I use for meeting notes, research notes, reading notes, or anything really like for whatever I need. But I've been loving the system in large part because it is modular. Like I can save the inserts that I want to save, and still like feel like I have lots of like space to write, and also like being able to have these blank inserts with the data inserts has been really helpful. So this is my work setup, but again, like this is all supplemented by a bunch of digital tools. And I use this really only when I'm working. So I work a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and this is always open with me on my desk when I'm working, but I don't really use it outside of like when I'm sitting down to work. that's my work planner, A5 plotter, love this. And then last, but certainly not least, is the Hobonichi cousin. This is the Avec set. This is my main planner and journal, and is also the place where I do most of my memory keeping. So I have this Hobonichi cousin in a cover from Hobonichi. This was part of the 2022 fall release. I think this cover is called the Forbidden Fruits cover, but I'm not 100% sure, but I'll make sure to leave those details down in the description box. But I love this cover. When I picked it up, it felt too like springy, if that makes sense. Like I bought it in October of last year and I never really used it because it was just giving me like spring summer vibes. But now that we have this early spring, I live in Northern Virginia and it's very much feels like, you know, like cherry blossoms have bloomed, like spring is in the air. I wanted to move into this cover and it's been really fun because it's really pretty and it's really functional. I love the Hobonichi covers and the like, you know, pocket configuration. It feels very spacious. I do have the plastic clear cover from Hobonichi because I don't trust myself with this type of like light fabric. And I have a toddler who, you know, can't be trusted with light fabric either. And then, yeah, I just have in here the Hobonichi cousin avec, which is the 6-month version. As you can see here, it is getting very chunky. This is, I think, the chunkiest I've ever gotten Hobonichi avec. And that's in large part because I've been dedicating, here, it's so funny, you can see exactly what I mean. I've been dedicating 1 page a week to printing out pictures from the past week with my family and my son and doing a little like recap and some memory keeping here. And adding these pictures is adding a ton of bulk. But that's fine. This is why I like having the 6-month version. And now that I have, you know, 3 months of pictures in this planner, I love it even more. Like I love being able to look back at this and see what we were up to, how my son is growing, just like it really evokes like these happy memories and for me. And so I'm loving this planner, this season of life and how it's evolved to be like my main planner and my journal and this memory keeper. I feel like I'm getting so much out of this notebook. So let's start from the beginning. Oh, and before I say that, before we start, I have just a couple of things in the pockets here, like random stickers that I'm using on a regular basis. Again, you'll see so much stuff from Sterling Ink in here. I get her monthly subscription kits, which I think are really worth it. You get so much out of like $35 a month. And it makes like decorating my planner really easy and thoughtless in some way because I don't have to like plan out which like stickers or kits or washi tape combos I want to use. I still do that sometimes, but I don't have to. Like I always just have a bunch of Sterling Ink stickers lying around and you'll see so much Sterling Ink stuff throughout this planner. And again, I have a discount code, Rachel20 for Sterling Ink. And so if you want to check out her shop, please make sure to use that discount code. So, and again, I'm like, it sounds so congested. So sorry about that. So I have some stickers in here, a stencil, yeah, just a couple of like functional things in the pockets. So if we start from the beginning, this page, like how I've been using this layout has evolved a bit since the beginning of the year. In January, I used this as a habit tracker. And then in February, I tried habit tracking in my standard traveler's notebook, which is when I moved into this. And that worked out well. Like I kept up with habit tracking, but I just didn't like it there. So I've moved my habit tracking back here for March. And this is, yeah, how I'm planning to use it in April. And this is working really well for me. I feel like I've like gotten back into the habit of habit tracking, which is which is helping me just notice some of the habits I need to be cultivating more, like exercise. And so, yeah, I like having this all together here. I also like having it all together here so I could just sort of see like 6 months at a glance and like how I'm doing on a month-to-month basis. The way I had set this up in my standard traveler's notebook would only let me see that like on a monthly basis, and I really like how this layout lets you see things over time. So then we have the monthlies, which I've been using for a mix of memory keeping and planning. So like I'll plan out my month, and then as the month goes on, I'll add in little stickers or little like notes about what we did or happy memories. Like I've been trying to use it more intentionally as a memory keeper after I'm done sort of like planning out for the month. And that's been really fun. I've liked how this has turned out over the last 2 months. Here I also did a little currently inked. I had a to buy and a to-do list. I've moved these into my traveler's notebook, but here, I'll leave this here because I think I'll point to it a lot. And I think like as I talk through the cousin, it'll give you more clarity on like how I use them together, because like some of the stuff that I had in different spreads, I've moved into here. Some stuff I've moved back into here. It's like, it's been a process and an evolution, but I think where I'm landing is really working well for me. So this was February, and then here is March. Here I feel like March was really busy. We were sick. Like I feel like most of March, like my son got sick a couple times, and then we got sick, and then I had to travel. So it was a busy month for us, and so I feel like when it's very busy, I'm using this as a planner, but was not using it that much to memory keep. And so that's something I'm trying to do differently for April. Yeah, this was my March layout. And then let's get into the weeklies. Where do we start? Here. So this was the first week of February. And the way I use my weeklies, I'll talk about it sort of as I flip through, has stayed pretty consistent since the beginning of 2023, and even from when I like originally filmed my planner lineup video. Hi again. Sorry, I had to take a quick water break. I realized I was out of water and feeling very parched. But I think where I left off was saying that how I've used the weeklies has been pretty consistent. So I use the weeklies to plan out the week ahead. So on a Sunday night, for example, I usually decorate my weeklies at that time. Sometimes I'll decorate them ahead if I'm feeling like I want to play with stickers on a weeknight. But most of the time I'll decorate them, and then I slot in things I know I have going on. Like I'll reference my Outlook calendar at work and my future log, which is both my monthly here and my monthly here, and fill out anything that I know is going to happen that week. And sometimes I'll also make notes of like things I want to get done on certain days. And that doesn't that leaves a lot of room on each like day, essentially. Like I'm only putting in meetings and maybe 1 or 2 day specific like reminders or tasks. And so then at the end of the day, I go in and write, or throughout the day, depending on if I'm working from home or if I'm in the office, I essentially am like rapid logging my day here, like how I spent my time, what I did, what we had to do. Sometimes I'll note like happy little like moments I'm grateful for with a heart, but this essentially becomes like a log of each day. And then this like takes on this memory keeping function as the week goes on. And then by the end of the week, it feels like there's lots of information about what I did and happy memories and things that I want to remember from that week. And so that's how I use my weekly layouts. How I've used this sidebar has varied. For a while, I was using it to write down a couple things I wanted to focus on for the week, and then also write down some good things. So this is like a dedicated space for memory keeping or gratitude, like just things I wanted to remember that were fun or happy. I would write down here. But then sometimes I use this for like a running to-do list for the week. It really depends. So yeah, you'll see again, like just a ton of sterling ink stickers. This is from her February collection, which is just beautiful. Purple is one of my favorite colors, so I was really excited when I opened the February collection. And then I have also, one thing that is different about like how I was using this layout in the past is I used to be really religious about only using black ink. Like I wanted everything to look consistent and I wanted everything to look the same week to week, and so I only use black ink to write here most of the time with my vanishing point, which is here. This is the vanishing point, the Pilot vanishing point, which I have inked with, I almost always keep ink with a black ink. And so most of the time I was using this to fill out my weekly layouts. But I have gotten really into fountain pens over the last couple of weeks, and I have been using different fountain pens each week to fill out the weekly spread. I try to only use one in one color, but it's been really fun. A fun way to add more color into my planner and just use like these really beautiful fountain pen inks that I feel like are so stunning. Like I have, not sure if you can like see this well. This is like this sort of like dusty purple, muted purple from Sailor, the Sailor Shikiori line. It's called Hara Hara. It is one of my favorite inks I've picked up in a while. Let me see if I could actually show you the ink. I'm going on a tangent, but bear with me because I really love, I love this purple. This is my ink journal. I have a couple other journals that I like keep up with on a regular basis, including this one. And I also have a reading journal. But yeah, this is, which has been really fun to play with, like to play with all the fountain pen inks I've been picking up. It's a dangerous hobby to get into because there's so much like beautiful stuff out there. But this is the ink I was talking about. It's the Hara Hara or the Autumn Drizzle. And I'm not sure, I hope this is capturing some of it. It's just so beautiful. It's one of my favorite purples. And so that's the ink I'm using here. And so I've been switching out the inks I've been using every week, and that's been just like a fun way to use my fountain pens and also add more color. These stickers are from a Happy Planner pack I picked up on sale at Michael's, which I like forgot I had and came across and then was excited because they're really cute. And then here again, we have more sterling ink stickers. This week I was using like a deep green. This is the Ferris Wheel Press Peter Moss. It's really beautiful, like deep green that I have been having a lot of fun with, especially as like spring is upon us. And then like this is all written using the Tombow Funosuke pens, either the hard tip or the soft tip. Most of the time I use the soft tip to write stuff in the day, each like day, because I want it to be small. But sometimes I use the thicker brush because it's fun. Yeah, those are the pens I mostly use in this planner. And then this was some new washi tape I picked up from Journal Station, which I was obsessed with for a while and was using all over my planner. And then here we are into mid-March where it was really feeling like spring, and so I was trying to bring out some spring colors. This is washi tape from Rifle Paper Co., which I really love. And then these were some Happy Planner stickers, again, like I forgot I had, and they were like for you to color in, and so I was using different inks to fill them in, which was really fun. Yeah, so I have like, this is also, you know, my journal is very much like also a creative space for me. It's a place for me to play with my fountain pens and stickers, and especially because I see like this planner as like my archive. This is where I'm documenting my life. I really try to, like, it's fun to make it pretty and make it fun to look back on. These were some stickers I also picked up from Journal Station. This week I was traveling. I was in Denver for a conference, which was a lot of fun. But I was busy. And so I didn't like fill this out as much as I usually do, but it was still like very functional and useful. And yeah, and that brings us to the end of March, where again, beautiful sterling ink kit highlighted here. And I'm using, I think for a couple weeks I was using this like deep dark blue black ink. It's the Sailor Blue Black, which has also quickly become one of my favorite inks. It's like just the perfect blue black, which I love blue black inks. Okay, so that's the end of the weeklies in March. And now if we move into the dailies, yeah, okay. So this is the beginning of February in this planner for me. I had set it up differently, and as you can see, I then cut out a piece of Tomoe River paper from another Hobonichi supplemental notebook I had that I didn't need the other paper for, and then glued it over, which I didn't hate the way it came out. It was like, I'm happy I was able to repurpose this page after I didn't love the initial setup. And so here in February, I used this blank page because, you know, if you know the cousin, it comes with like one blank page to start each month. And so in February, I used this for a running to-do list, to read, to buy, and that was fun. I have moved some of this into my traveler's notebook, and then have kept some of it here. So you'll see it, like how I use this page has changed a bit over time. So yeah, again, lots of sterling ink stickers, and I've been using the vellums from her kit that I get each month to separate the months, and that's been a fun way to use up. Like, I wasn't somebody that used vellum really at all, not because I had anything against vellum, but because, like, I don't know, it just wasn't something on my radar as like a way to decorate your planner. But now that I get some each month, it's been fun to like tip him in here and use them in different ways. So yeah, that's an aside, but I love her vellum. And then I think I've seen like there's been the most evolution in how I have, oh wait, oops, this is January. I meant to start in February. Okay, here we go. Here's February. So in terms of how I use the daily pages, like this is really where like how I've used the cousin has evolved the most. So in the beginning of February, my husband and I took a trip to Charlottesville for our 2-year wedding anniversary. That's crazy to say out loud. It was 2 hours south of us. We live in Northern Virginia. My parents came down to watch my son. And it was really fun. We stayed at this beautiful bed and breakfast. We went on a visit to Monticello. We did the From Slavery to Freedom tour. I was a little nervous, you know, given the fraught way that we talk about America's history with racism in the U.S. But that said, the Freedom to Slavery tour did a really excellent job of centering the humanity of enslaved people. Although it was interesting, there were other tours that were not focused on slavery, and I'm so curious like what they were like, because this tour really highlighted the ways that like enslaved people were so integral to how Monticello worked, and even its like construction. Just, I don't know, it was so like interesting to then think about after we went on the tour what the other tours might have been like. But anyway, if you were in Charlottesville for whatever reason, I would recommend checking this out. But this was, you know, like a weekend trip my husband and I had planned, and I didn't bring my planner with me because I knew I wouldn't have time to plan. And so I had these 2 blank pages, and I turned it into just this like big memory keeping spread with a bunch of pictures and different sort of like information about the trip. And this, I think, perfectly represents like how my use of the daily pages has been evolving. It's been evolving in a way that's like trying to fit in memory keeping where I can. I've been dedicating 1 day a week to memory keeping, at least in the daily pages. And also, as of March, have been trying to journal more in here. So trying to really like structure the way I'm using the daily page such that there's always space for me to journal. So here again, like I've been saving the Sunday pages because I usually, for my weekend to-do list, would only have like, I only need one page. And so I've been saving my Sundays for like pictures and memory keeping, and that's been a lot of fun. That's definitely where the bulk is coming from in terms of how bulky this planner's getting, but you know, it's fine. Here's that same purple ink again. When I got it, I was so obsessed with it, and then I used it with one of my dip pens to write this quote in my journal, which I really love, from Zora Neale Hurston. Says, research is formalized curiosity. It is poking and prying with purpose. And then somebody who I work as a researcher. I research. That's what I do. It really resonated with me. So yeah, I was originally using the daily pages in this way where I would split up the days into 2 columns, and I have like sort of my schedule for the day and personal to-do lists. And then on the right-hand side, I would have my work to-dos and some notes. And then in the empty space, I would sometimes like write other notes. I wrote a quote. This is a quote from Parks and Rec, if you aren't familiar. And then I would sometimes journal in the blank space. Here again, I used this as like a 2-page memory keeping spread for the weekend. I had an extra page for whatever reason and was using it to figure out my planner confusion, which is really funny. But this is when I started to move into the standard traveler's notebook, essentially. Like I was realizing I wasn't loving the weeks for whatever reason. It wasn't vibing with how I was using the cousin. And so I started planning out the traveler's notebook setup. And then again here, so for a while I was really using, again, this 2 columns per page with personal and work to-dos. Here, I must have had like just extra space. Cause yeah, I have like my current planner lineup here, and then a weekly like recap with pictures. You know what it was? I think I was supposed to travel this weekend and the plans fell through because unexpected weekend at home. And I had not brought my planner with me as I spent 2 days trying to get to this conference in Northern California, but it was the weekend where all those storms were hitting, and so I never made it there. And I had all these blank pages, which then turned into some fun journaling spreads. Here I was listing all the books I read in February, or books I was reading in February. I think I technically finished this in March. I'm a stickler for data. And then I have, again, this memory keeping spread, which was fun. I outlined my current planner lineup. I like doing this when I'm in the midst of transition, and this was definitely right as I was starting to use the standard traveler's notebook. And so this was helping me flesh out my thinking in terms of my setup as I was transitioning. But I love having extra pages in here occasionally that I can use for stuff like this. But I don't always have them because I do use this planner a lot, which is where the standard traveler's notebook comes in. So yeah, that is getting us to the end of February. And then in March, I decided to use this this page to do a currently inked for March, which was fun. Because again, I've been really getting into my fountain pens, and so figuring out how I want to document that journey has been fun. And then I also wrote a to be read list. These are the books I wanted to finish in March. I actually only finished 1 book in March, but I'm 3/4 through all these other books. So my April numbers will be a little bit inflated. And then we get back into the dailies, where I've been using them again in the same way, where I have at least 1 day per week where I dedicate the spread to memory keeping, usually the Sundays. We went to the National Zoo, which is really fun. It was a very beautiful day. And then around here is where I started to change up how I'm using the daily page. So essentially, I have been wanting to journal more. I feel like when I journal daily, journaling daily is just better for my mental health. And I have a hard time like keeping up too many planners and journals. But I wasn't feeling journaling in my traveler's notebook. And I just I don't know, my journaling was all over the place and it had been for a while. I wasn't doing it consistently. And so I decided that I would, instead of dedicating this right-hand column to work task, that I would integrate my full to-do list for the day here. And if I needed to expand on any work task, I would just pull out my planner. So trying to minimize the amount of detail I get into and just use this as a roadmap to get me through the day. And then when I'm working, I always have this open so I could have more details about specific tasks here. But I was trying to get all my to-dos into this column and then save this column for journaling. Because I feel like if I don't have a dedicated place to journal each day, I don't journal each day. I need that sort of accountability mechanism. I had experimented for a week with journaling in this A6 Hobonichi. This is just the original Techo. And that was fun for a second, but I just am I feel like I can only touch but so many notebooks on a daily basis or remember to, and having a separate journal just was it just wasn't working. And so yeah, since about mid March, I have been dedicating my half of the Hobonichi cousin page to a schedule and to-do list, and the other half to journaling. And that's been really fun. And of course, and maybe it's just because this is sort of a new setup and I'm enjoying it, but I have journaled almost every day since then. And that is more consistent journaling than I have done in a long time. And so I was proud of that. And I feel like that, to me, signals that this setup is working and will help me journal more. And so I am planning to keep doing that. So again, another weekly recap. I picked up, I guess this is just a chatty planner catch-up video, so I feel like it's gonna be long. Appreciate any of you who were bearing with me. Maybe I'll try to figure out how to put chapters in here so people can skip around. But I picked up a new fountain pen in March. This is the Coeco Bronze Sport. It is so beautiful in person. I've wanted one of the metal body Coeco Sports, and I'm just so excited to have been able to scoop up one of these. But when I first bought it, I got the broad nib, which you can see here, and it was so thick. Excuse me, not the broad nib, the medium nib. And I was just shocked by how much more thick it was than a fine nib. And so I ended up switching it out to the fine nib. But it was, it's fun to look back on because this reminds me yeah, the medium was way too thick. But I'm glad that I have it documented here. And this is when I got that pen. This was my first time using it, which was fun. So yeah, this is now my daily pages have become still that functional piece here with a schedule and to-do list, with my work to-dos more integrated here. Although again, I've been including less detail because I'm trying to save space, but also because I don't need it. This is meant to be a roadmap of my day, do this or start with this. And then when I'm actually working, I always have my work planner open, so I don't need all of the details. So for example, if I say work on a draft of this blog, I'll have more information about my next steps with finishing that draft in my plotter. But knowing that that chunk of time is meant to be working on that blog is all I need from this layout, and that's been working really well for me, like I said. And then also having some dedicated blank space available to journal daily has really helped reinforce journaling for me as a daily habit. So I'm also like enjoying it from that perspective. And then here I had, I didn't journal a lot this day. So I was watching, I don't know if I maybe I flipped through it, but at some point this month I was watching, oh, here it is. A video from writer Carol, who developed the bullet journal, about like just some thoughts on journaling and trying not to always journal about the negative things in your life, like basically encouraging you to document the positive and the stuff you're grateful for. And that video, which I'll link down below, it was really great. I took some notes. It was really like, yeah, I was just getting my brain moving and helping me think about how I wanted to use my journal, how I wanted to be journaling, what I wanted to be documenting. And so after watching this video, what I've been doing every day to start my journaling practice, because I feel like sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I'm really in the mood to journal and sometimes I'm not, but I want to start journaling more on a regular basis. And so I've been starting my journaling practice each day with writing one thing I'm grateful for and one small win. And that's been really like helpful for me. It's just like get me writing. And some days, that's all I managed to get down. And so I ended up then just like adding in this quote like a couple of days later because I had this blank space. But still this like counts for me in terms of a day that I spent journaling. And so I really, that's been working really well to help me get back into the swing of things when it comes to journaling. And then, yeah, these are the last few days of March. I didn't end up, for whatever reason, like writing a to-do list Wednesday. So I instead journaled here on this side of the page. And I left this blank for some other list or collection. And then I started writing a list of things to do instead of scrolling through Twitter. I feel like Twitter is imploding and it's just like not, the functionality is not there for me. Like I used to really enjoy Twitter. My Twitter is much more focused around like my research and academia and my work. But I love Twitter and it's just like not hitting the same. It feels like I'm just wasting time and not getting any value. So I've been thinking about how I want to engage on Twitter and was starting to brainstorm a list of things I wanted to do instead of logging onto Twitter, like read any of the number of Substack blogs that I subscribe to that I would like to read more. I'm planning to fill out more of this later, but yeah, that's how this is just a good example of like what I do with blank space when I have it in my journal. So yeah, that's the end of March in my Hobonichi cousin. I am really enjoying this. This has been working really well for me. It's been super functional and I feel like it's turning into this like really fun and beautiful archive of our lives. So I'm excited to see like just how much more it chunks up over the next 3 months. And then it'll be super fun to be able to flip through it all in July when this book is through. So if you have stuck with me this long, I don't have a sense of how long this is because I've stopped it a few times, but my feeling it's probably a chatty one. I've been wanting to get back on YouTube, but like I said, we were sick. So thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for hanging in there. And I will catch up with you all soon. Bye now.